Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, everybody, and assalamu alaikum, sister Farah Halabi. How are you
Walaikum
today?
salam. Alhamdulillah, I'm really well, thank you. Assalamu alaikum to you. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, fine, thank you. So I just want to let everybody know today that we are doing um, a Thursday thought session that everyone's been used to for the last few weeks, mashallah. And we're going to be continuing these hopefully over the next few weeks and just letting you know different ideas, different things that might help you in your daily life, not might, probably will help you. We've had so many comments recently and so many uh, messages about the last week one about the co-parenting, Sister Farah, and you know about that as well, don't you? I mean, you've got parent
I've got
experience,
several.
personal experience on that, right? We will talk about that in just 1 second. So I'm sure all of you know who Sister Farah is, but she is a professional transformational life coach serving professional Muslim women, and she's obviously professional herself, mashallah, and she helps stressed out, overwhelmed, overstretched Muslim women uncover who they really are to lead them to to live better lives. And she helps women just like us uncover their innate awesomeness and God-given gifts to lead a life full of insightful wisdom and peace. And I just want everyone to know that I am, mashallah, a product of Sister Farah's coaching. I've been through a huge journey with Sister Farah, and I can't thank her enough for all the mashallah insights she's given me, the helpfulness and just kind of I think it's like having somebody in your corner, we said the other day, wasn't it? Right?
Yeah,
Having somebody that's there for you, and you know that you can go to them and you're not going to get judged. You're not gonna, and not that she's always going to be on your side as well, because there's times when you feel like, she's like, well, can I just say this? She just like, isn't it? Can I just say, I can't hang on a second, and that you need someone like that as well, don't you? You need someone to be truthful with you. And alhamdulillah, I've definitely 100% benefited from Coach Farah's help. And I really want everyone to know that she's here, she's available, she's in our parenting team. Yes, mashallah. We've convinced her to join us. So she's going to be here with us now as a full-time member of the parenting team. And we just want to let you know before we start as well that we have got our personal, private majlis, if you want to call it, place for mashwara, place for mashura. So mashwara is Urdu word, mashura is an Arabic word, advice, women getting together. We had a practice run the other day, and wasn't it amazing? We just, with the few sisters that were there, it was just so lovely. We all opened up to each other, and it helped. I think it really helped, or what we all were saying was that having someone there that is not directly related to you as well, not directly related to the situation that you're talking about, but they can give a really objective view. What do you think, sister?
absolutely. I think the space that was created was, first, it was a safe space. Second of all, there was no judgment, and I think that's something that we tend to find rare opportunities to not be judged. Whether you're speaking with your partner, with your husband, with your family, with your children, with your community, with your colleagues, there's that sense of thinking, what are they thinking about me? What are they thinking about the situation? Which is what we're going to be talking about later, actually, which feeds in lovely to that. But that space is non-judgmental, a safe space, and it's confidential. And also, like you said, a different perspective, fresh eyes on a situation, and actually helping you say out loud what's going on in your mind so that you can make sense of things. And sometimes when you do say it out loud, you see something differently for yourself, because the whole time we're holding on to that's just the way things are, we get more and more and more of that. But when we say it out loud in that safe space, we're able then to have access to that kind of just that different perspective. And then having the other sisters there that, like you say, are in your corner. They want the best for you, they want to help you, but they're not there to mollycoddle you, they're not there to agree with everything you say. They really want you to be the optimal version of you. So absolutely, that space, I think, is priceless, because if you think about it, in your day, when do you have that? There's a lot of us that are on the go with kids, with our daily grind. When do we actually take stock or have that space to just think and just to be. And I think it is, you know, it is priceless. So yeah, very, very blessed. That session was, you can never tell what's going to come up. And
I
you know,
know it was just really fun. I mean, it was fun in the way that we all got to see each other, and especially that was part of it. Sister Simon saying salam, very exciting. A dua has been heard, mashallah. And Sister Farida Umar is also here. Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam. She's here watching us, and we're really excited to share this with you because it's like what Sister Farah was saying, that having the people there, your team, your tribe, that's what we really want to be. We want to be your parenting tribe. We want to be with you, helping you, showing you, well, I guess a little bit of like the mistakes that we've made. We want to help you not make them. One of the things that came up in a session, I told you about it, Coach Farah, but remember I spoke to you about lady. She said that but if I hit the boy, it makes sense. If I hit him, he does what I want, right? And I had to like unpick that whole, that whole sentence, right? Yes, you're right. Like a donkey over there, if you hit the donkey, yes, they do what they want. They do what you want. But does that mean that the donkey loves you, cares for you, and you care for the donkey? And, there's like all of these things that you've got to think about. Walaikum assalam, sister on Facebook. I can't see your name. Just write your name in brackets if you want. And the thing is that when that child grows up, what are they going to think of you and the way that you parented, right? What do you think, sis?
absolutely. I think, you know, if hitting worked, we'd only have to hit once. If it
Yeah.
worked, if it was a, you know, a valuable tool. But how many of us, if hitting is our go-to, have only ever done it once and then something, you know, it all miraculously changes? It doesn't work in the long term. And in the short term, you might get your child to do what you want, but it's not because they want to, it's because they've been coerced into it effectively. They don't want to be hit again, so they'll do what you want. But what we want for our children is for them to do the right thing when we're not around. So we've got to help them make those decisions for themselves in the most supportive way. Because yeah, we can get them to, you know, cooperate with us in the interim, but long-standingly, are we always going to be there with the stick to make sure that they're doing what we want? We're not. So again, if hitting worked, we'd only have to do it once and then everything would be fine. But it doesn't in the long term. And in the short term, again, there's no judgment here. I know, I mean, I've been guilty of my children, absolutely, because it just, in my mind, I thought that's what you do, you know. I was, you know,
That's how we've been brought up. That's it, right?
Well, that's what you do, isn't it? That's what you smack your children. But then you kind of realize that you will get more from your children when you cooperate with them rather than try to coerce them. And yes, it might take a bit more work, but in the long term, when we're no longer around, what we want is for our children to be able to make the decisions that impact their lives in the most positive way. So we have to give them the resources for them to be able to think, work out, calculate, reason, make the mistakes in a safe environment with us helping them along, guiding them along. So yeah, absolutely. Like going back to, if hitting worked, we'd only ever have to hit once and that would be it. But I'm betting that most people haven't just hit the once. It's a continuing thing. So we've got to work out, if it's not working, what do we do differently?
Do something different. Let's try something different. And if you guys are open to trying something different, we're open to helping you try that different thing, honestly, inshallah. And we are proof that it works. Like our kids, you can see them, inshallah, sometimes people meet my kids, and the funny thing is my kids are quite shy as well, so it works in my favor. So people are like, wow, they're really well behaved. Just see them out. But they are quite shy. But generally speaking, they are, well behaved. And I'm not saying that because, I'm some perfect mom. Really, 100% I'm not. I really am not. But it's just that we're all trying, and we're all trying together. And that's what we said at the beginning, that having that safe space, having that no judgment, having people near you that are saying, let's do it like this, or have you tried it like this? That really does help, and it gives you like a different perspective. It gives you like, oh, hadn't thought of that, maybe I should do that. Like reframing stuff. Sometimes you see it as one way,
Yeah.
And then reframing that helps you to understand it in somebody else's point of view. Just before we start with that POV, remember that thing that was going around?
Yes.
I don't know if you guys are on TikTok, or I don't know where it's from, in TikTok and Instagram, I think mostly.
Yeah.
POV, they always say POV, that's point of view of someone else's point of view. And it's actually quite interesting when you start looking for the hashtag POV and seeing their
Yeah.
point of view, right? The point of view of a child that's like crawling around. What are they seeing? Don't they tell you? They say, get on the floor, look around and see what you can see. That's what they can see. So it's really interesting. We're really excited to have you all on board. And we're really excited to have Sister Farah here today. So I'm going to let you start with what will they think of me?
Absolutely. How many times have you heard yourself saying that, even to yourself, or using that as a reason to either not do something or do something? How many times have you heard it for you as a kid or as an adult growing up? What will they think? What will they say? What will people say? We don't know, but it's enough just to think of what they might say to stop us in our tracks. Or as a parent, let's just say I've got a few, I had a little list of things that I've heard this around, and it's almost like it's a veiled threat, or it's the unknown, because there's no certainties. What will they say? What will people think? Well, there is no one answer to that. There is no one size fits all, perfect solution. We're just going to, if we're really honest with ourselves, the worst case scenario. What could they possibly think? What is it that you don't want them to think? And when we look at it, and I'll give the example that one of my clients, one of my older clients, and I say older, but because I work with both children in their teens all the way up to adults in their latter years, let's just say. I don't want to give away the age of some of my clients that are a little bit more mature, let's just say, than a teenager. But in all of my clients, because we're all humans, we're all human beings, and we all kind of work the same way, in as much as we think and we perceive and we make judgments and we have beliefs and we have a lot of stuff going on up here. And I remember specifically one of my younger clients actually going through exam periods, and one of the biggest issues for her was revision, as it is with a lot of the GCSE, A-level, SATs, even, all lot of stuff going on right now. And when we looked at what it was that she wasn't doing, like, she knows what to do. Everyone knows what to do, really. It's not like we don't. She knows that in order to pass their GCSE, she's going to have to revise. She's going to have to do the work. But there was a big gap between what she should be doing, what she knows what to do, and what she is doing. There was a big gap in between. It's not like she didn't know. Like I said, she knew that she even had it, everything timetabled, everything was calendarized. She knew, she divided it into digestible chunks, but there was something that was stopping her from doing what she knows that she should be doing. And when we really unpicked that, there was a lot of thinking about, there's not enough time. It's too late. If I don't know it now, I'm not going to know it. There's no point. Or, just thinking, what do I do first? Even though she had everything, planned, there was still there was just so much. It's almost like all of her GCSEs, all of her exams had just moshed together into this one big ball of stress. And so to attend to that big ball of work was just too overwhelming. And from that place, she ended up doing nothing. There was no inspiration to do more. There was no, do you know what? Because I'm feeling so stressed out about everything. Actually, I really am in the right frame of mind to go and revise. It was the complete opposite. She was finding that she was more easily distracted by social media. She even started tidying her room. Suddenly, the prospect of tidying her room became more appealing than studying, because she'd built it up in her mind. Now, you might be thinking, well, what's that got to do with what will they say? Well, when it came down to what it was that she was fearful of, there was an underlying kind of worry, concern. What will people think? And more specifically, what will her parents think if she doesn't do however well she wanted to do? And just that what will they think? It wasn't that she knew what they would, but just having that thought percolating, that was enough to keep her stuck, to keep her from not doing something, to keep her from not even, I say not even trying. She wanted to, but it was just a whole lot of stuff going on up here. So anyway, when we unpicked all of that and gave her a safe outlet, we don't know what people are going to say. We don't know what people are going to think. What we do is we go on the assumption of what we think they're thinking, and it becomes almost this mental ping pong of, I think you're thinking that about me, I think that you're thinking about me in a way that I think you are thinking about me, and it just becomes this like big haze of just mental like gymnastics. It's not easy, it's not a straightforward, I think this and I know that you think that, because we don't know what goes on in other people's heads, but we assume that we do. We assume that we know. We assume that they're going to say the worst, or we assume that they're going to have some kind of judgment. So when we're going to what will they say or what will they think, for the young girl that I was working with, it was what will her parents think. And when we really looked at how that was keeping her stuck, we flipped the switch. We were like, what do you want them to think? What do you want them to know about you? What would you like your parents to actually think about you? And she'd never thought about that. And we don't ever sit there and think, how would we like to be thought of? How would we like to think of others? We just go around making assumption and judgment after judgment, because that's just how it is, until we stop, until we have a space to question our thinking, question what's going on up here, because there was no physical or logistical reason why she couldn't do the work. There was nothing chaining her hands. There was no blinkers over her eyes. There was, she can read, she can write. There was no physical reason why she wasn't going to study. But that thought, what will they say if she didn't do as well? Fast forwarding to this imaginary future where she doesn't do as well as she hopes she's going to do, and then what will people say? And in adulthood, how many times have you heard that, even when you were growing up, as a parent yourself now? How many times did you hear from your parents, specifically your mum? Because I think there is something quite visceral when you hear it from your mum. What will people say? Was that ever a good enough reason? Like, if you, I don't know, for example, I don't know, you wanted to go somewhere, or you wanted to do something, or I don't know, there was an instance in your life where you wanted to do something, and the answer was, well, no, you can't. What will people say? What will people think of you? And did that answer, and someone said all the time, yeah. Because it's almost like it's a blanket excuse. It's almost like that's an acceptable get out of jail card free, get out of jail free card. It's a blanket excuse. It means nothing, because it's not, you're not going to find that an acceptable answer. It puts you off. Absolutely. It puts you off, because we don't know what people are going to think. And even the person saying it to you, they don't know, but they're just worried about them saying, anything at all. What will people think? What will people say? Well, I don't know. But what is it that you're afraid of them thinking or saying? I know that it got to the point in my own parenting journey with my mum and dad, that it was almost like it just rolled off the tongue. What will people think? And I remember once asking my dad, I think it was my dad actually, well, I don't know, what do you think they'll say? And he was so taken aback, because it was never something that he'd pondered about it. He'd pondered upon, he'd wondered. And I think I got one of those looks that says, just don't ask me again. You know that every parent has that look. Well, my father certainly did. It was just that look. It wasn't even a menacing look. It was just that look, that stare that said, Khalas, don't ask me anything at all. That's it. Don't even bother trying, because it's not going to go any further. It was that look to basically say, shh. So if anyone else has ever heard that or seen that in their parents, because I remember my son saying that to me, he was like, Mum, you've got that look. And I'm like, what look is that? It's like, it's the look that just says, no. It's the look that says, don't ask, don't bother. You don't even have to say anything, Mum. You've just got that look that tells me, okay, this is probably something that I should ask Mummy when she's in a, I don't want to say calmer, because it's not when I'm like particularly not calm, but it's just that look that you give your children. And it's that look that I think parents all over the world, I don't know if there's some secret society that when you become a parent, you go off to this training school and you harness that specific stare that tells your children, don't even bother. It always makes me laugh because I think parents all over the world have it. But with certainly growing up in my family, and also then when parenting my children, I heard a lot of it in very different kind of pockets of my life. When I remember it. Sometimes it comes around. So I'm going to go off on one now. So please forgive me. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a scenic route, but I will come back to what we're talking about. It's when you say, or when you hear, what will people think, or what will the neighbours say, what will whoever auntie say. When you hear that as a person, I don't know if you felt the same, but it certainly was in the case of myself, and also actually for some of the women that I've worked with. Hearing that puts what people group, not even person specific, but everyone's opinion means more than the person standing in front of the person who's telling you what will people think. And that can be quite demeaning. And that has been quite demeaning in the instances where I've worked with women who have had that growing up, and then in later life, in their, if they've asked to do anything, I don't know, maybe from their colleagues, maybe from their husbands, maybe from their families, or they've wanted to do something and the blanket statement has come back, what would people think? It's not a no, but it's a very interpreted no. It's a very much like if someone says, well, what would people think? There's no yes coming out of there. That there's no kind of there's no in the affirmative that is being responded to. And it can mean so many different things to so many different people. And I'll give you a couple of examples of how it's played out in the work that I've done with some of the ladies I've worked with. Sense of self-esteem, of self-worth, of being able to make decisions for yourself, and having that right. And it is a right. Your free will is your right. That was given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your free will, your right to make decisions, the power to make decisions for yourself. And when someone says, what will people think, or what will they say, that then puts what they, don't know who they are, their opinions, their perspective, their judgments above yours. And if you hear that often enough, or if you have, and it's a blanket throwaway comment, isn't it? But if you hear something often enough, or if you interpret something in a way often enough, that then becomes your norm, the way that you even, the way that you just think. You might stop asking, or you might have to then mask what you really want, or try to put forward what you do want to do in a way that you think will be more well received by the person that you're asking. And as children, as mums in this group, as parents in this group, when our children come to us and they ask of us whatever it is, if we were to say, what will people think, or what will they say, what is it that we're actually telling our child? And again, this is not a judgment thing. This is not a kind of berating any parents at all. But just think, if you have ever said it to your child or to anyone, what did you mean by it? And I don't know if I don't think I can see any comments actually. So I don't know if anyone has commented, but if you have ever said that to your child, what did you mean by it? Has anyone answered that question, Sarah? Sorry.
Yeah. They said, so we were talking about, just to go back slightly, when you were talking about who are they and what happened, and then Adila said it puts you in a situation of competitiveness,
Right.
especially among cousins. And then they were saying that it's really, really common, and it sets really a lot of people back. Confidence, decision making, all of that is impacted. And then somebody agreed with you. And then they said that it's what we've grown up with. And again, because we said to you earlier, like, we're your parenting tribe, we've been you, we're in that same boat. you know. And it is all about, what will they think? Oh, my mum, sometimes I remember we were allowed to wear jeans if we were going to town or like out. We call town like shops, right?
Yeah.
So if we were going out there, we're allowed to wear jeans because my mum didn't mind if we wore them at all. But if we're going to our grandma's house, no way. Oh my God, you can't wear jeans over there. That's like everyone's gonna, and it's like, and I used to say the same thing. I was like, what are they gonna say, Mom? They're gonna say, oh, she wore jeans today. That's it. That's all they're gonna do,
Which means
But
what?
it's so
Absolutely.
difficult. It was so difficult.
Mm.
Um, a sister saying, I grew up being told that, and I've promised never to tell my kids that because
Right.
it took a lot of years of work to heal myself. That's exactly it, sis.
Because what do you take from that? Absolutely. It's what
Exactly.
you hear in that.
Yeah, and it's that subconscious voice, isn't it, to get rid of that, because we've said that before. You've said that before as well about what does your child hear? They hear you in their head years later, right?
Yeah.
So, like one of the things my dad always says is adapt to the change, adapt to the change. So, if there's a change, we adapt because
Yeah.
we've heard that so many times that we're like, oh, we've just got to adapt to the change. That's it, guys. Don't worry, we just got to adapt to it. We don't know what we're going to do to adapt to it, but
But
it's
that's
the
the plan.
internal voice. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think that I think I'm talking a lot because it
No,
really
no,
does
you are.
resonate with a lot of sisters, with me, with mashallah. It's a huge thing that we are all brought up with, and it's not just one or two people. So many of us,
Yeah.
right? What
Yeah.
are they gonna think? I think I told you when we were discussing the title of this talk was one of the sisters that lives here with me. I won't say where it is, but I know you know where it is. But she lives over here. She hasn't told her extended family that she's out here. Like, and I was like, why? Why not? Why wouldn't you? It's all right. No, they're not going to say anything. It's all right. But it became like a huge thing. Like now, if she tells them, it's like, oh, well, you didn't tell us years ago. And it's like, you could just tell them and nothing's going to happen. So
Absolutely.
anyway, inshallah, I'm going to give it back to Sister Farah. But yeah,
No,
everyone's
no,
comment.
thank you. Because it's all relevant, isn't it? It's a blanket, just one comment that again, when you mull it over, what is it that our children hear when we're saying that, or what is it that we heard when we were told it? How did it make sense to us? Because I just remember thinking, I don't know who they are, who these people are. Like they're just this mysterious group that are all ready to kind of judge the fact that wearing a pair of jeans, they'll be saying you're wearing jeans, and okay, is it, what does that mean? And obviously to different people that means different things. To some people they're like, yeah, and okay. Or to other people are like, oh, she's not wearing traditional dress or whatever. And to other people it might be just like, oh yeah, absolutely lovely jeans, aren't they lovely, where did you buy them? But it's what it is that they interpret to what will people say. It's the worst version of what they think possibly people will say, but they don't even know. Like I said, when I asked my dad, well, what do you think people will say, he was like, just be quiet, just he couldn't answer me. He just like gave me that look, like I said, that was just like,
There is no answer, is there?
there isn't.
I want to put this one up because this is that I've had this as well. I
Right.
still get told, what will people think of my 4-year-old son's long hair? It's like I was told by my mum and dad, who I think are kind of forward thinking, to be fair. They
Right.
were like, cut his hair, cut his hair, cut his hair. Why? He
Yeah.
looks so cute with long hair.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. And again, when you think, what will people say? It's like, well, what do you think they're going to say? Like, what is it that you think? Because some people would be like, it's lovely. Some people won't even care. Some people might have an opinion. But if we're going to live our lives and do the things in order to please people, then this feeds into very much pleasing people. Because, if we're trying to please everyone, we're not going to please anyone. And we're definitely not going to please ourselves. So may as well do what we think is right. And when you align what you are doing with your intentions, your the way in which you decide to parent, whatever decision you decide to make, I think this is another kind of issue that happens a lot, people pleasing. When we seek to please people, we will turn ourselves inside out trying to. And even then, that person may not be pleased with us. But if we go about pleasing ourselves in alignment with pleasing Allah, we've got more of a lens on. If we're trying to please Allah and our intentions are good there, whatever happens, you know, we've got that backing almost. You've got a stronger foundation if you know that the decisions that you've made are good for you, good for your family, good with Allah, then, you know, whatever people say, it's like, okay, that's your opinion. Fine. I respect that. But I'm going to do my own thing. It's really just being really firm in your convictions, because we find that if you're not confident, or if you are someone that has had low self-esteem or seeks their worth in the opinions of others, then you're always going to be chasing what people say in a way that, again, you will turn yourself inside out. You'll end up doing lots of different things in the hopes that you are pleasing someone. But all the while, are you really doing what you believe is true? Are you pleasing yourself? And it has to come back to, when you're good with you, you can take what others say. And even so, I mean, you know, when people say when people say, what will people say? When do people actually say it? I mean, I know some people are quite forthright. They might be able to tell you their opinion. You know, there are some people out there. But in general, people don't go around. Well, I don't know. Maybe in your world they do. I don't know. But certainly in my world, like, you know, walking around, people don't come up to me and kind of offer their, you know, their opinions on how I should live my life. Generally, you know, on a day-to-day level, I don't think I have people throwing judgment in my face. So whoever these people are, I don't know where they're hanging out, but I don't know what they're talking to. But it's like a veiled threat, just in case anyone does say something. It's like, okay, who are these people and where are they? Because, you know, I'd quite like to know what they think. You know, maybe they think like me. I don't know. So yeah, it's one of those. It is definitely a blanket kind of just throwaway comment that can have such a deep impact if you have heard that enough, or you have just used that yourself. Again, like I think I asked, if you have ever used that, what do you mean by it? And we've had lots of people that have said that they don't, but it'd be interesting to hear, because I'll put my hand up. I have said it before, even though it was said to me. And then I caught myself thinking, hold on a minute, what am I really saying here? And I kind of checked myself. But has anyone actually said that? Does anyone, I'll ask a different question. Does anyone believe that that is a valid kind of parenting tool, if you like, to use what will people say as a measured response to when your child wants to do something? It'd be interesting. Again, no judgment. If you have used it, there's no judgment here. Just seeking to understand what it is that you meant by it. So I don't know if anyone has said anything, Sarah.
They are commenting. I'll just wait for them.
Okay.
One sister said she's grown up with people who did that, a lot of judgments, but that's when building boundaries is important. And we've spoken about that a lot. Yeah. The same sister, I think, is saying, no, I've never done that.
Okay.
Adila says that it brings a form of unintentional hatred. I love that, actually. That's so true, because you start thinking, oh my God, I don't like grandma because she doesn't like I wear my jeans. But it's like, there's nothing. Grandma never said anything, you know. Oh, it's Yusra.
It's true. It's
Come StreamYard, Yusra.
Is Yusra here? Oh, lovely. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, absolutely. That unintentional.
Facebook user. Sorry, Yusra, come in.
Okay. Yeah, so just jump on. It'd be nice to have a little chat with her as well too. But yeah, absolutely. That and it is unintentional, because you build up a picture of what that person thinks about you, feels about you, and then if you, like, obviously genes not a big deal growing up, but if that then becomes something wrong or something that, you know, isn't accepted, there's a big disparity between, again, when you feel that you're not doing anything wrong, or you're not wearing anything indecent, you quite like it, but someone else has a judgment about that. The way you feel about that person is obviously impacted by the way that they supposedly think about what you're doing. So I think unintentional is definitely a word. You build up these thoughts, these opinions, these judgments about who you think is judging you. And you never, like you say, maybe Nanny didn't say anything about it. Maybe Nanny's never mentioned it at all, but yet you're judging Nanny based on what you think she thinks or what you think someone has said about what she thinks. It's all like, again, mental gymnastics. It's everyone sort of like thinking lots of things, but no one's hitting the mark. And I've just seen there's another message come up on there. Okay. Also, what it did for me was purposefully retaliate as a teenager, even when the advice was good. Absolutely. Because I had this need to just do the opposite of what they wanted me to do. Absolutely. I think that there is something to be said about that rebelliousness, or just rebelling against what someone says, even if it's good for you. But if you've built up this image or this opinion of that person, even if they're giving you the best advice in the world, it's difficult to take that through, like that big block of judgmental thinking that you have about them. Absolutely.
That
Oh,
is really
okay. Needless to say, I was a very angry teenager because of this.
Oops, sorry, I clicked it before. Yeah. And then you end up growing up with low confidence. I think
Absolutely.
that's still Yusra, right? Is that still Yusra? You need to give StreamYard permission to see your name. That's all you have to do. But yeah, it's super important because these people, the judgments of the people, can then shape you later on, can't they? Because then you can be like, all the time, whatever you do, it's like, oh, I've got to do it in this certain way because
Absolutely.
otherwise, people are going to think. And then maybe like they were brought up like that as well. So it's like for them, people are a thing, this
Yeah,
thing,
absolutely.
there are these people somewhere. And Adila's saying it's a really common thing for our generation.
And the thing is, growing up thinking that you have to please these people think differently. So one day you might hate jeans, the next day you might love them. I mean, I know that might be a bit of a stretch, but our opinions change. So if you think a certain person thinks in a certain way and you have to do certain things to earn their approval, or, or not earn their disapproval, but their opinions change. So it's almost like the goalposts get wider and wider apart. You're trying so hard to please that person, doing what you think they want you to do, but what they want, their thinking, it changes. It changes on a day-to-day basis. We form different opinions. It's life. We change. But if you're still trying to, again, do something to please that person in the way that you think they want you to please them, again, we're just trying so hard to please there's no certainty there. There's no kind of, okay, do X, Y, and Z, and then you'll get whatever result. There's
And
a
they'll
lot
be
of
pleased.
uncertainty. There's no peace. Where there is no certainty, there's absolutely no peace. So then going to flipping that on how you want to be seen, how you want to behave, how you want to interact and relate with people in the most optimal way for you, that is filled with, that those good intentions, with, obviously we're not perfect, no one is, we will make mistakes, but being allowed to make those mistakes in a safe way. If you're doing something because you think it's the best course of action and it doesn't work out, at least you've done what you've actually put it into practice. You've done it, you thought this is a good thing to do, it's happened, it might not have worked, fair enough, then you can tweak that. But if you take a course of action that you think is expected of you because of what other people think, and it doesn't work out, there is that level of resentment. It's just like, well, I've done it your way and it didn't work out anyway. So there's double resentment. And I think when we go back to I think I said this on a talk the other day, and there's a meme that's going around. It's like, you can't be everyone's cup of tea, otherwise you'd be a mug. And I love that. That's just I love that saying. I know it's probably not the most eloquent of sayings, but I love that, because you can't please everyone. But if you work on pleasing yourself by doing what you think is pleasing to Allah, you've got more of a framework of certainty. There's more stuff that is certain in how we relate to people than is uncertain. Being kind, being compassionate, listening, being a friend, having just kind, compassionate. You can't go wrong. There is no one that ever died of being too kind. So I think it's going back to being secure in yourself, and then people will think and say and do and feel whatever it is that they do. But when you're more concerned with how you think, what you would like to say about yourself, you've got more of a lens on how you should, go out and make an impact in this world. And it's certainly the case with parenting. When you come down to what you how you reason, how you make the decisions that you make with your children, not for fear of what people will say, but what you want to say, what you want to feel, what you want to do, how you would like your children to feel and behave and think of you. You've got a better lens on, you've got a better focus on something that's real, something that you can work towards, rather than this, you know, this invisible group of people that are ready to cast their opinions on you.
Cecilia was saying part of what I do, why I do what I do, is because of the upbringing. It took a lot of work to get here. Alhamdulillah. It's true, you know. And Sister Adila saying that's a perfect meme. Yeah, when you told me about, I love that one as well. It's, you know, it is important to realize that you can't please everyone ever, right?
Absolutely.
And I just want to reiterate what Sister Farah was saying about you can't, like, today you might please them with whatever you did, but tomorrow that you do the same exact thing, they're still not going to be pleased. So you just think, well, why did I even bother with that, right? You feel like, what's the point? Part of why I don't cook that much, or part of why my confidence has been knocked with cooking, is because of somebody's opinion of my cooking. And it's not that it was the actual opinion, it's just a way of putting you down. It's just a way of them saying, well, you know what, like, I mean, you know my story, but I can just a vague version I'll tell everyone else. So basically, I made this special dish that you get in Pakistan, daybale. I don't know if any of you know it, but I made this version of it and my husband loved it. So I was like, right, everyone, let me make this today. And everyone liked it. The people that were there ate 2 plates each, right? But which one do I remember? I only remember the comment that one person said, and that one person said, it's all right, but tomorrow we'll go to the shops and buy some. And that's the only thing I remember. Like Adila saying, yummy. Yeah, honestly, that's the only thing I remember. So even when I've made it afterwards, it's my son Zachariah's favorite thing ever, right? But I associate that one comment with this until obviously I went through the coaching and, you know, I had to go through, like, again, it's that decomposing, disconnecting, unpicking all of these things and thinking, why have I, you know, thought that I can't cook because of one person? Inshallah, Yusra, we're coming to England, 10 days, inshallah.
Yay! Can't wait. Oh, yes, you know what? I'd quite like it in on that as well. So if you're cooking,
I need to go to one of your houses and cook for you. And this is Adila saying, a judgment from someone is a huge kick and bringing you down. It really is. It's the fact that, again, we don't listen to compliments, or compliments sometimes there's a barrier.
yeah, it's easier to to accept an insult than it is to accept a compliment. Sometimes we're ready to believe the worst of ourselves rather than, you know, what's best about ourselves. And like you say, you know, even if there were 1 million people at your dinner and everyone, you know, 1 million people bar one person had 2 plates, it's that one person, like you said, that you're going to remember. And, you know, it's almost like those people just, yeah.
No, I mean, you said it as well. My husband said it as well. He was like, what about the people that ate it twice? And I'm like, at that point, that's the only thing that you can hear. Inshallah, Sister Adila, I'm coming. I'm going to be near you. Remember, I'll be in Ilford. Yay!
Yay!
Inshallah, right there, Sister Farah too. So yeah, it's that thing that can really put you down, and we have to remember not to think, like, remember what you always say to me, Sister Farah, it's not about you, it's about them.
What people say tells you nothing about you and everything about them. It's like they've given you this, why they're saying something, it's like they've given you this cup of poison. And the moment that you believe what they say, it's like you've drunk that poison. But you have the choice to give it back to them and say, no, thanks. This says everything about you. That comment, it was nothing about you. It was that person's maybe insecurity, maybe that person's, you know, whatever it was, but it was nothing to do with you. and it tells you everything about what that person is thinking. But what we do is we take on board what other people say to mean something about us. It's like we internalize it, and then the moment that we start to kind of believe it or even doubt, there's a suspicion of doubt. It's like then the 20 other people that had 2 plates, it's like, yeah, okay, but maybe they, I don't know, maybe they're really hungry, or maybe, maybe they've never had it before and they don't know what to expect, or you
maybe
kind of,
they'll eat a lot anyway.
maybe they're just greedy, but it's that one person that you think, really? Okay, what does that mean then? Did they not like it? Was it not good? Then you go and taste it just to make sure. Does it really taste nice? And again, the moment that doubt is there, it's like a weed. It breeds lots of other weeds. Before you know it, you're kind of doubting yourself and you get really upset. But like I say, it says nothing about you. You go on and we talk about this a lot. It's bringing ourselves back to what is. Because where there's opinion and judgment, there is no certainty there. People, it might not be everyone's cup of tea. That's fine. It's absolutely fine. People will have opinions, but as long as you're good with what you've done, that's the main thing. But what we do is we go around hoping that everyone else likes us, is agreeable about us, says good things about us, that we overshadow. That overshadows what we think about ourselves. What the inner voice that we have towards ourselves. We're so worried about what people might say or what people will think that we don't really work on how we talk to ourselves or what we think about ourselves. And when those thoughts are good, when we have good thinking about ourselves, again, a bit of a cliche, but when our cup is filled with that kindness and compassion and acceptance for ourselves, that's what we've got to give to others. But when that is empty, you're more likely to feed into someone else's negativity or feed into someone else's, thinking because what she said or he said was a blanket statement. It's neutral. We'll go to the shops tomorrow and we'll buy food. Neutral statement. But what that brings up for you, it's like, did they not like it? Was it not good? That's really out of order or whatever it is. But what that person said was neutral. Again, when we go to what is certain, you cook that food to the best of your abilities. Your son loves it. Loads of people ate it. Go with what you know, because there is peace in certainty. There is only mayhem and chaos and stress in uncertainty. So go to what is real.
I like this. Walaikum salam, Sister Anjum. She said that, remember, Allah has made us perfectly imperfect.
Absolutely. Alhamdulillah.
Angels. Did I show that? Allah created the angels as perfect, not as humans. And it's funny because, again, it's like when you get those reminders, I've reminded people that.
Yeah.
But for yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Sister Yusra saying, absolutely, very, very true. And the inability to accept positive comments and focus on the negative is, again, a conditioning. And it's all interconnected, because if you're confident, then you've got too much ego. We actually mentioned that the other day, didn't we? We said, oh, does she think so much of herself? She thinks she's amazing. Because
it's almost like we've got to balance this, having, self-confidence and self-esteem, but not too much. We don't want to be arrogant. Don't want to be like if I was a chocolate teapot, I'd eat myself. No, but what is that balance? It's like and what we're telling our kids: be confident, but not too much. Be easygoing, but don't be a doormat. Be assertive, but don't be a bully. It's that finely kind of balance that we're trying to tread and we're trying to do. But when it comes down to it, if we go to the gifts that we were given, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us everything that we need to live this life. He gave us the power of thinking, which puts us above every other creation, the power to reason, to make decisions. And when we make decisions based on what we think will please him, have him as a focus, as a kind of, as a compass, if you like, then we're not going to go far wrong. But what we do is we get, we forget, we get muddled on, we do things to please others, or we do things to keep people quiet, or to avoid certain situations. And I'm not saying that we all have to ignore everyone, or, you go in and you don't do what your husband says or what your children say. I'm not saying that at all. It's being able for you to live this life, parent your children, be in the situations that you want to be in, relate to the people you want to relate from a place of calm, from a place of peace, from a place of, just neutrality, so that you can enjoy being with the other person, so you can see, you're curious to see what comes up, rather than having this kind of pre-programmed assumption that that person thinks X, Y, and Z, so therefore I've got to do this. Like you said with your nanny, she never said anything to you, but your behavior was almost conditioned because of what someone else thought she might be thinking. So again, when we go to what is real, what is certain, that's what we do. When you're sort of saying that's the reason why she does what she does. But yeah, absolutely. This is why I do what I do. It's helping the women come back to reality, to what is real, to what is, so that they can live their lives and enjoy what's going on right now, rather than being in their minds about all the mistakes they made before, or in future thinking about how things are going to pan out in the future. And all the while, your children are growing up, life is being led, and you're not there in the way that maybe you'd like to have been. So it really is bringing you to what is right now, what you can affect, how you want to be, how you would like to live your life, how you would like to parent your children, how you would like the interactions to be in your home, with your colleagues, with your family, with your community, and focusing on what you can do rather than what you think others think you should be, because that's a whole load of just like I say, mental gymnastics. It's like ping pong, but a million different balls all over the place. So yeah, keep it simple. Simplify your life. Really is doing what you think is best, doing what you believe is the right course of action, and being open to a little bit of help and support. There's no one size fits all life. We're all just trying to do our best, and that's it really. So yeah, that's all I can say really.
Mashallah. So we've got Sister Adila saying we don't need to prove to anyone, we just have to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is kind of what Sister Farah was saying, like as long as we're doing what we can Islamically correct, then there's nothing to worry about here. And there is one thing that I can pop in here actually, because in preparation for my mother-in-law course coming up, a couple of ladies said to me about the child, like that they find it difficult tending to their children when the in-laws need something, right? And I actually said to them, well, who's got the rights on you? Is it your children or your in-laws? Who's got the rights on you? Islamically, they cannot argue with that. It's your child, especially till they're 2.5, when you're still breastfeeding them. You cannot, you can't put someone's food over your child's food, over your child's hungry, and you're busy making hot chapatis. There's a huge thing there, right? There's a disparity.
Absolutely.
What do you think on that, sister?
No, absolutely. I think when we go to what we are, the rights that we have, the responsibilities as decreed by our faith, and the rights that certain kin have over our children, definitely. They have a right over us. We have a level of responsibility and accountability to them. Now, culturally, in certain cultures, I'm not going to blanket everything, but in certain cultures there is this sense that the in-laws take precedence, but Islamically you don't have to serve them. They are not your responsibility. I know that's probably going to fly in the face with a lot fly in the face of a lot
That's all
of
right, because this is our tribe, this is your safe space, and all of us are not judging, and we are just there to help you to understand that, because unfortunately I've been that doormat. I've done crazy stuff that people will be like, what? But you have to, because in that situation nobody was there to tell me your kids got the right on you, not them, right? And now that I know that, that's it, halas. My kids, that, because now that I know that, that's made my life way easier, right? And I want that to help everyone else, inshallah. On a slightly different tangent, so Sister Simon saying that If we don't accept credit or compliments, our children take that in as well, and they kind of imitate, and that's negative as well. Yeah, perfectly said. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's true.
And I
You know,
think the way,
go on.
absolutely, I think the way that we can, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. It went
No,
quiet.
no,
Sorry. Be quiet, Farah. Sorry. Just to answer that, and I think that is a really, really valid point. And there is something to be said then with being able to take credit and give compliments, that when you give it back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you give gratitude, like if someone says, oh, that's a, I don't know, that was really lovely food, you kind of always go to, oh, oh, it's nothing, I rushed it, or it was fine, you kind of delete it. But if you're giving, if you give it over to Allah, it's like, alhamdulillah, yeah, alhamdulillah, managed to find the time, or it's something that I love cooking, alhamdulillah, Allah gave me the the love of cooking, or the ability to make that really, really quickly, so that you're still accepting the compliment in a way that you are giving gratitude as well. And when we give gratitude, when we are grateful, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us more and more. And I think that we kind of, it's easier to accept something for us personally, and this is a work in progress, because we should be able to, ideally, if someone says that's lovely, you say, oh, thank you, yeah, alhamdulillah, yeah, I thought so too. I thought it was really yummy. Or if someone says, oh, that's a lovely hijab, you're like, oh, alhamdulillah, that's really lovely to say so. Yeah, I chose this because it's my favorite color. That's not big-headed, that's not arrogant. You're giving thanks to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he gave you great taste. I don't know, but it's giving it over to him. And I think that when our children see that we can take a compliment, that we can take good, like we can take praise in a way that isn't arrogant, because that's a very fine line, I think. But it's just giving it back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and agreeing with them. Because, how many times have you thought, or have you done this, and I'll put all my hands up to this several times, someone's coming over and you have tidied the house from top to bottom. You've broken your neck almost trying to, put all the shoes in the cupboard and clear away the mess. Someone comes in, and I've done this so much, I'm like, excuse the mess. I'm like, oh no, it's fine. I'm like, oh my God, my house is so messy, I'm so sorry. And I've just spent like an hour cleaning my house, or it's almost like I'm setting them up just so that, and they don't even care. They're not looking at my house. They don't give a monkey's, but it's almost like I'm priming just in case they think, oh God, they're thinking it's really messy. But, if I say if it's messy, even though I know I've just cleaned everything, I'm kind of like protecting myself from some kind of judgment. It's all rubbish. It's all made up. But we do this, I know that a lot of women that, as soon as they know someone's coming over, I had someone that wasn't able to make a session because a friend of hers who she'd not seen for a while was coming over that afternoon. And it was like, I've got to tidy my house. And I went, but they're coming to see you. They're not coming to see the house. She's like, no, but I've got to tidy my house. I can't possibly, just invite them to the state of it here. And I went, okay. She goes, and I've got to do the cooking. I was like, but they're coming over for a cup of tea. And she went, yes, but even if they don't eat, I've got it there just in case they do want to eat. Oh my word. It's just a whole load of,
talking about me.
Just, when we are comfortable and we are okay with who we are, that they are coming to see us. They are coming to, because they want to spend time with you. Yes, if you want to offer them a cup of tea, absolutely. But you don't have to offer them like a 10-course meal. It's fine. And if you go to Islamically as well, when you invite guests into your house, you give them what you can. You invite them in for a couple of dates. Always got some dates knocking about. Can you imagine if you'd invited people over and you gave them 3 dates? You definitely have, what will people think? Oh my God,
we cannot. We're gonna have to go soon, because I just love this conversation and I can't stop, because it's just, we're just feeding off each other, aren't we? I like what Sister Adila said. One negative comment can put you off appreciation of others and their compliments. And Sister Yusra said, my kid will say, yeah, no, if you give them a compliment.
Love that.
And Adila was saying it's in our nature to offer more and more, and we can kind of end on that because it's a lovely note. But we were meeting my cousin for dinner. So they're the only people that live in the same country as us. So obviously we meet every so often. So I texted him and I said, we're going to come. And then I said, oh, do you know what? We're delayed. So if you guys want to eat, go ahead. He was like, no, it's fine. By the way, his wife's pregnant. And I was like, I was like, please, eat, right? And then he goes, okay. Anyway, we get to where we were going to meet, the restaurant. And then they were like, oh, sorry, we couldn't wait. We just went to McDonald's and ate. And I said, all right. I said, it's fine because, she's pregnant. I get it. I understand. And then I was like, so you're not going to eat now? They were like, no, we're definitely eating.
That was just the appetizer.
And then they said, they went to someone's house, and I'm not being racist, I promise you, but they're a different race than us, as in, maybe like a more Western outlook. And they said, we went there for a coffee, and that's what they gave us, coffee. I said, well, what do you expect? They said coffee, and they gave you a coffee. What did you want? And they were like, well, when you go for coffee at Asian people, we give them like dates and pakoras and samosas, and we fry stuff. And then my sister-in-law said, well, she goes, they've come to our house for coffee, and I've just put, and I said, well, you've got to realize the culture is completely different. And that's another thing that we don't get, isn't it? Because if someone comes to your house and you go, do you want it? And then they go, no, I'm all right, I've eaten. In my house, I'll be like, okay, then you've eaten. But in our culture, nay, you
have to.
And then you get there is a disparity in that, so anyway, subhanallah, we can go on forever. But we have to stop here. And jazakallah khair, thank you so much, sisters, for coming. All of you that have commented, it just makes the session go really well, because it means that we're all talking and discussing, and this is what we want. So we are sorting out, we're organizing amazing stuff. It's all coming up soon. You'll see it all, inshallah, 10 by 10. So the one thing that I've told you about at the beginning, and I'm going to tell you again, is the Q&A section. So we've seen people ask questions on forums, and we really, really, really want to help you with that. Oh, jazakallah khair, Sister Yusra. Inshallah, see you soon as well. You're going to come on these again, right? Inshallah. And we've got this Q&A place. It's private. It's just for you guys. And we haven't really advertised it anywhere outside our website and our forums and our emails. It's not really like everyone can join. It's literally for you guys, for that private space. And we have put a price on it so that it stays for people that are serious. That's it. So, inshallah, just let us know if you want to join. Let us know if you have any questions, and we will see you all very, very soon, inshallah. If you want to join, the link is in the description. Just click on there and come in. And we look forward to talking to you all again next week with Sister Farida, who's going to be coming in and sharing some of her lovely insights. So jazakallah khair. We really love seeing you all, and we'll see you next time, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.